Welcome to today's episode of Housing Market Savvy with your host, Pat Kapowich. Today we are diving into a topic that every home seller needs to hear, the 5 costly mistakes sellers make when failing to disclose property details. I know for many it is counterintuitive to think that a home seller disclosing detrimental information can be helpful, but it's true. I've done it. I've helped home sellers do it. Just like you, if you are a home seller or know someone that will be, I've proven decades of home selling success in every imaginable market. Over half my listings sell in 10 or fewer days, regardless of market conditions, and I attribute that greatly to full disclosure before a home buyer writes an offer. Plus, my sellers rarely have renegotiations during a home sale, or worse, a transaction canceled before closing. This is important because any property new on the market enjoys a window of attention and in some cases excitement. I call it magic in a bottle. It happens once. It is an opportunity. Home sellers and their agents must not risk that unique time frame by being unprepared for the housing market. For example, properties that appear new on the market go under contract, also known as sale pending or pending sale. And the home buyer learns new information about the property they deem unacceptable and start to renegotiate or issue the cancellation paperwork. Usually, when a home sale falls apart, there is a cancellation form created and signed by all parties. When the property goes back on the market, fairly or unfairly, the property is stigmatized. As a rule, stigmatized properties will be resold for less money and take longer to sell. There are exceptions, such as a seller's market, also known as a low housing inventory. Ron Rossi, a prominent real estate attorney, has taught real estate agents for years with the theme, home buyers do not like surprises. Also known as, tell the home buyers everything before they write a purchase offer. All right, part 1. Now, in my series of how to sell a home in 10 or fewer days, the theme is tell the home buyers everything we know before the home buyers write a purchase offer. So let's begin. 5 costly mistakes sellers make when failing to disclose property details. Number 1, skipping permits for renovations. Sellers often forget or intentionally omit permits for work on their property, which can lead to serious post-sale legal issues or renegotiation and cancellation during a home sale. For instance, who did the work? A friend, family member, an unlicensed handyman, or a licensed contractor using workmanship-like manner following building codes? Often, home sellers will submit for a permit and never follow up on the permit process. Never have building inspectors come out and observe the work under progress or when it's completed, and never receive a final building permit that is quote unquote final. The term is final. Let me give you a brief example of how this can happen. Decades ago, I represented some clients on a purchase of a home during a brief seller's market. Property new in the market. It's a 2-story home, and it was listed as 4 bedrooms, 3.5 bath. However, the home buyers I represented had an appraiser sent out by their lender, and he could not give credit to the first floor addition of a primary bedroom suite. The reason being there was no final permits on that primary suite on the first floor. Therefore, the property was still officially a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom home. The home sale fell apart, and I went out and bought them another property, which they still own to this day. This was all avoidable had the seller and the listing agent done their due diligence before they put the home on the market. Number 2, forgetting to disclose past repairs. Whether it's roof repair, plumbing fix, failing to disclose can make home buyers wary. Real estate attorneys tell me that in these cases, home buyers often state during cancellations or renegotiations, I never would have bought that home had I known about XYZ. And home sellers say, it was not a problem for me, or it was like that when I bought it. Number 3, assuming grandfathered structures are permitted. Many home sellers believe that older structures are automatically compliant with local governments and agencies, but this isn't always the case. The term grandfathered in refers to a situation in real estate where a property, structure, or feature is allowed to continue existing or operating despite not conforming to current zoning laws, building codes, or regulations. This will vary from state to county to city. While being grandfathered in might sound beneficial, it can lead to several problems in real estate transactions that could still be an issue. Limited future modifications. Grandfathered properties often cannot be modified or expanded without complying with current codes or regulations. Buyer misunderstanding. Buyers may assume that the grandfathered feature is fully compliant, unaware of its restrictions and limitations, risk of losing grandfathered status. The grandfathered exemption often ends if the property use changes or the property is sold or remains unused for a certain period. Compliant costs for sellers or buyers. If the grandfathered feature requires updates, either the seller or the home buyer may be forced to invest in expensive renovations, compliance costs for home sellers or home buyers. If the grandfathered feature requires updates, either the home seller or the home buyer may be forced to invest in expensive renovations to bring it up to code. Financing or insurance challenges. Lenders and insurers often hesitate to approve loans or policies for property with grandfathered features, viewing them as a higher risk. When you hear the term grandfathered in, make sure if you're a home seller or you're buying a property or perhaps you're a real estate agent, to avoid surprises, verify that aspect of the property that's being referred to as grandfathered in for its compliant status, and understand the limitations tied to that grandfathered feature. All right, back to the title, 5 costly mistakes sellers make when failing to disclose property details. Number 4, relying on verbal assurances. Without documentation, verbal assurances from past owners means nothing. We want everything in seller disclosures. If there's additional disclosures that should be made, have the home seller put it in writing. Again, we go back to if something's been fixed, repaired, renovations, who did the work, what was their qualifications, and so on. Number 5, neglecting historical documents. Invoices, receipts, reports, inspections. A lot of these seller questionnaires might be in a sale that happened 5 years prior. During a home sale, historical documents are the best friends a home seller and a home buyer can have because they create trust with the home buyer, and the home seller can feel comfortable they are disclosing everything they know about the property, and that way they are negotiating from a position of strength. They can tell the home buyers, this is all I know, this is what we are selling. Do you want to buy the property? If so, great. If not, that's fine too. So don't let these mistakes cost you thousands. Remember, full disclosure isn't just ethical, it's good business. That concludes this list of our new disclosure series, How to Sell a Home in 10 or Fewer Days. Stay tuned for more insights on Housing Market Savvy.